The average American eats more than 200 pounds of meat a year, and for most families, meat is the single most expensive thing in the cart, which means the store you buy it from matters more than just about any coupon you'll ever clip. Here's the part nobody says out loud. Some of the most trusted names in the country are quietly the worst places to buy your meat, and a couple of the best are stores you might be walking right past every week. We're going to go back and forth today. Worst, then best, worst, then best. Starting with our very first worst, which is going to surprise you because it's a store people actually brag about shopping at. We're kicking this off with the place that practically invented the words organic and premium, Whole Foods. The nickname tells you everything, whole paycheck, because you walk out lighter in the wallet every single time. Now paying a little more for better quality is a fair deal. Paying more and getting cheated is not. And that is exactly what happened. A few years back, investigators in New York City tested 80 different kinds of pre-packaged food at Whole Foods, meats included, and found that every single product type had mislabeled weights. Not some of them, all of them. Nearly 9 out of 10 packages broke the federal limit for how far off a label is even allowed to be. In plain English, the scale claimed you were buying more meat than was actually sitting in the package, and you paid for the difference. Some of the overcharges were small, under $1. One package of shrimp was marked up almost $15. The city's own inspectors called it the worst case of mislabeling they had seen in their entire careers. Whole Foods ended up paying a $500,000 settlement in New York, and they had already paid out around $800,000 over similar pricing problems in California. And here's the kicker. Even when the scale is dead honest, you are still paying top dollar for meat that is often no better than what you'll find for half the price down the road. The store sells you a feeling, grass-fed, free-range, practically hand-raised by monks on a sunny hillside. Some of it is genuinely good, but a lot of the time you are paying for the soft lighting, the gentle music, and the word artisan, not for a better steak. And I don't know about you, but I can't pan-sear a feeling for dinner. One thing that does help, if you already pay for an Amazon Prime membership, you get an extra 10% off sale items and some members-only deals at Whole Foods. Since Amazon owns the place now, it softens the blow a little. So which store gives you that same high-end quality without the magic trick pricing? Funny enough, it's the one you need a card just to walk into, Costco. And here's the number that flips the whole game on its head. Most grocery stores mark their meat up somewhere between 25 and 50%. Costco caps its markup at around 14 or 15% on everything, as a company rule they refuse to break. They would rather make their money on your membership than nickel and dime you at the meat case. That one policy is the reason a Costco ribeye can cost a third less than the very same grade somewhere fancier. And speaking of grade, this is the big one. Costco regularly carries USDA Prime, the highest grade of beef there is, the stuff that normally gets shipped straight to steakhouses. Most grocery stores never climb above choice, a full notch below. At Costco, you can roll out with restaurant-grade Prime at supermarket prices. If you carry the executive membership, you also earn 2% back on everything you buy, which on a big meat haul quietly adds up to real money by year's end. And their return policy is almost comical. Cook a steak, decide you hate it, bring back the receipt, and they'll refund you without so much as a raised eyebrow. Now the honest catch. You need a membership to get through the door, and there's no senior discount. Costco charges everybody the exact same. But if you've got a freezer and a family to feed, the math works out fast. Buy in bulk, portion it at home, and that membership pays for itself before spring. And here's a move the regulars swear by. Costco sells whole primal cuts, a whole ribeye, or a whole beef tenderloin in one big sealed bag, for a good bit less per pound than the pre-cut steaks. Take it home, slice it into steaks yourself with a sharp knife, and you've basically given yourself a discount for 10 minutes of work. It is the premium quality Whole Foods keeps promising, without the premium priced guilt. Now brace yourself because this next one is going to ruffle some very loyal feathers. Trader Joe's. And look, I love Trader Joe's. The snacks, the flowers, the cheerful guy in the Hawaiian shirt ringing that bell like he's hosting a game show. But for meat, walk right on past. Here's the problem. Trader Joe's does not have a butcher, not one, in any store anywhere. Every scrap of meat they sell is pre-packaged in some far-off plant, shipped in, and stacked up in a little refrigerated case. That means no custom cuts, no grinding it fresh, nobody to trim a roast the way you like it. What you see in the case is what you get. The selection is thin, and a good chunk of it has been previously frozen, which means you're thawing it at the store just to drive it home and freeze it all over again. By the time that steak hits your table, it suffered from more jet lag than a transatlantic flight attendant. On top of all that, Trader Joe's has stumbled through a rough stretch of recalls in recent years, enough that it turned into a bit of a running joke online. For a store this beloved, the meat counter is its weakest link by a country mile. It's a wonderful place to grab dinner ideas and strange, delicious snacks you didn't know you needed. It is not the place to buy the centerpiece of your Sunday supper. So where do you go when you want a real butcher? An actual human who'll cut exactly what you ask for? One chain still does this better than anyone. Publix. If you live anywhere in the Southeast, you already know the devotion people have for this place, and the meat department is a huge part of why. Unlike Trader Joe's, Publix runs a full-service butcher counter. And here's the thing almost nobody takes advantage of. They will cut, trim, grind, season, and even butterfly your meat to order for free. Want a roast tied up a certain way? Done. Want that big pork shoulder turned into chops? They'll handle it while you finish your shopping. Want your ground beef ground fresh right in front of you? Just ask. People stroll right past that counter and grab the pre-wrapped stuff, never realizing the better service costs them nothing extra. And here's a quiet perk for anyone cooking for just one or two. That butcher will happily split a big package down into a smaller portion for you, so you're not forced to buy a giant family tray and watch half of it go bad. For older folks living alone, that one request saves a surprising amount of money and waste. Then come the famous Publix BOGOs, those buy one, get one free deals that run every single week. Meat lands on BOGO constantly, and the smart play could not be simpler. When your favorite cut hits buy one, get one, that's the week you stock the freezer. Here's a tidbit most folks have no idea about. Publix actually scrapped most of its senior discounts back around 2017, and instead of pocketing that money, they funneled it into running even more of those weekly BOGO deals for everybody. So, in a roundabout way, every shopper got handed the senior discount. A handful of Publix stores in the Carolinas still do 5% off on Wednesdays for older shoppers, so if that's you, it's worth a quick call to your local store to ask. All right, our final worst, and you might have seen this one coming, but the reason why is not what you'd expect. Walmart. Everybody just assumes Walmart is at least the cheapest, so even if the quality is a little rough around the edges, you're saving money. Right? Not always. Price checks have caught Walmart's ground beef running more than $1 a pound higher than the same exact thing at a discount store, so you're not even winning on price half the time. But the bigger trouble is what's actually inside the package. Every piece of meat at Walmart is what's called case ready. There is no butcher anywhere in the building. It's all cut, packed, and sealed at a faraway plant, then trucked in across the country. To keep it looking rosy on that long ride, case-ready meat gets treated with carbon dioxide and a saline solution, which is just a polished way of saying salt water. That added water puffs up the weight you're paying for and can leave the meat watery and bland the second it hits a hot pan. You're basically paying steak prices for municipal tap water, and instead of a beautiful sear, your dinner ends up looking like it was boiled in a high school cafeteria. Shoppers have reported everything from too much gristle to hard little chunks to one unlucky soul who found an actual piece of hay in their beef. And because there's no butcher on staff, there's nobody to ask, nobody to cut you something fresh, nobody to make it right. You're on your own with whatever the truck dropped off. Here's a small silver lining if you do shop the wider Kroger family of stores instead, places like Kroger, Ralph's, or Fred Meyer. The meat you buy earns fuel points that knock money off your gas. Walmart's meat earns you nothing but the meat. Now, here's a warning, especially for the older folks watching. A lot of seniors swear by a certain store's discount day, but you have got to read the fine print. Fred Meyer's much loved senior discount, for instance, flat out excludes the meat counter, right along with seafood and produce. So you show up on the big day for the savings, and the one thing you came in for doesn't even qualify. So if the giant isn't saving you money and isn't giving you quality, where does a tight budget actually win? Aldi. I know. The store with the quarter to unlock the cart and the cereal box with the cartoon mascot that is just slightly wrong. But the meat? Genuinely, surprisingly good. Remember that Walmart ground beef costing $1 more per pound? Aldi was the store quietly beating it on price. And this is not cheap junk we're talking about. Aldi's USDA Choice Black Angus beef has built a real cult following online, with the ribeye in particular pulling rave reviews for its marbling and its flavor, at a price that makes steakhouse regulars weep. Their never-any line of meat, raised with no antibiotics, no added hormones, and no steroids, actually earned the Good Housekeeping seal. And trust me, they do not hand that out like party favors. Better still, Aldi backs the whole lot with something they call the twice as nice guarantee. Don't like what you bought? They'll replace it and refund you. Both. They even carry a grass-fed organic ground beef under their Simply Nature label that costs a fraction of what the same thing runs at the health food stores. Now, let me be straight with you since no store is perfect. Aldi has no butcher, same as Trader Joe's, so for custom cut, you're still headed to Publix. And a couple of items earn poor marks. The cheap chicken breasts and the pork chops can be hit or miss, so steer toward the Black Angus beef and the Never Any line, and you'll do just fine. And while we're on the subject of stretching a dollar, one genuine tip for the older crowd. Harris Teeter runs a program called Club 60. If you're 60 or older, you get 5% off every single Thursday, and unlike a whole lot of these discounts, it actually counts at the meat counter. All you need is their loyalty card and your ID. That's a standing weekly discount on meat that almost nobody bothers to sign up for. Here's what it all comes down to. The fanciest store isn't the best, and the cheapest one isn't always the worst. Whole Foods will charge you a small fortune and might just weigh it wrong on the way out. Trader Joe's hasn't got a single butcher to its name. Walmart will sell you saltwater dressed up as a steak. But Costco hands you steakhouse-grade beef at an honest markup. Publix gives you a real butcher for free. And little old Aldi quietly beats them all on price without ever selling you junk. Same meat, wildly different deal. Now you know exactly where to push your cart.